Hello, and welcome to the August update from CrowdNode. First, some amazing news. A week-ish back, we rolled up Masternode 50, which is quite amazing, and we're super excited. And thank you very much to everyone who chipped in and are staking Dash on our platform. The overall status here in August is that the roadmap has been somewhat reshuffled. I'll go into the details in just a moment, but let me just touch the high-level promises that we made back in November for 2022. And the first was obviously the blockchain API. The second was the trustless staking. So the blockchain API has obviously been released. This is a bit old news, but in Q2, we were integrated into the latest release of the Dash mobile wallet for Android, enabling swipe to stake or more or less click to stake from within the wallet. Now we've just released trustless staking on testnet, and we wanted to take a look here in Q3 on the platform, Evo, especially usernames, and also during and throughout 2022, we would be making a series of improvements, some visible, some behind the scenes. The blockchain API, I have shown you this slide before, so I'll run through it fairly quickly, but that is done, all of the items that were on that one. I've also touched some of the improvements that we've already done and delivered on, that being the language pack. We've done some refactoring of code for performance and updated to .NET 5 and also purchased the .com domain that I can see quite a few of you are already using. So these are the features and work items that took precedence over a earlier release of trustless staking that we wanted to. We've provided a series of extra endpoints. These were done basically because the community asked us to, and specifically also in close cooperation with the mobile team at Dash Core. We've also faced some issues throughout the past couple of months with testnet. And these issues, albeit annoying, were actually quite useful because one of the faults that we faced were that instant send didn't lock instantly, but was delayed and sometimes didn't even lock at all. And when working with the API, you want things to work instantly. So we built some resilience, some fault tolerance into the platform, retries, etc., to make sure that that works, even though that some elements on testnet or mainnet might fail to work from time to time. Obviously, caching for better performance. We want the experience when signing up via the mobile to be as fluent as possible, the open voting page, and then a series of more or less obvious things, bug fixes, logging, analytics, better queue management, and of course, some support more than usual, but also other small items. So we're at trustless staking now. This was released to testnet earlier this week. It's a minimal viable product. Is it perfect? Far from it. We do need a lot of input from you guys to perfect it, or at least to make it better. It's now on testnet. When mainnet is an obvious question, and this needs a lot of good testing. It is a very complex process to set up a Masternode trustlessly, and we don't have any wiggle room for mistakes here on mainnet. So we are seeking a solid test period, and we basically want you guys to get involved as much as possible. And once we feel comfortable that we have a stable version, we'll release it to mainnet. So yeah, please help to test it. And we do hope that you forgive us for prioritizing improvements to the API that was already in mainnet in production, and that took precedence over actually finishing trustless staking like we sought out to do in November last year. So on that note, the automation of trustless staking was more complex than estimated, and we've also chosen to do a couple of extra checks than we originally planned, to make sure that the user experience is as good as possible. But yeah, we need your input, and I hereby invite you to try it out. I'll demo it in a moment, but I'll just walk through the slides first. There's 5 steps towards participating in a trustless Masternode. First, you pledge an amount, also for how long time you want the term to be, the period of staking to be. You'll be waiting for others to pledge as well, and once that is done, the pool will be formed matching other members from CrowdNode. You'll provide a pub key, and that will resolve your address, amongst other things. You'll sign a message to show that you're actually able to perform the signing process. That will take place later. And then there's a lot of steps in between where you're obviously waiting for other members to sign their test message. We're locking the staging address. We're moving funds to the staging address. We're creating the pay-to-script hash, the multisig collateral address, and we're creating the Masternode funding transaction. The step 4 is that you need to sign N+1 refund transactions. N is the number of participants in the pool, and I'll explain this a bit more in detail later. Then a final validation of the refund transactions, and then we're preparing the Masternode. Before I go into the demonstration, I just want to share a couple of selected stats from our platform. The first 2 metrics are how many members we have. So during the past 4 years, we've had almost 2,000 people join our platform. And of those 2,000 people, more than 900 are still staking with us. Since we launched the API, we've had 319 API signups, and 213 of those are pure API members. So the numbers may vary a bit depending on how you slice and dice them, but 213 are only using the API, where 319 signed up. Some of those signups were from existing members that chose to add the API capabilities to their existing user. And obviously also the opposite, some of the API signups that have chosen to add UI access are not counted part of the API only members. The balance of API only members is roughly 9,000 dash, which means that purely based on the AI members that we are having right now, 9 Masternodes has been spun up. And this is amazing. Thank you very much for that. I also have a few metrics from the mobile team. Brian Foster shared these with me. So they're sliced a bit differently, and also some insights from the mobile wallet itself. You can see June and July numbers here. But it's all supporting, I think, a great story, and thank you very much. The last visual I'm going to show is a graph of our assets under management since we launched back in 2018. We had a long period of growth, and then we had a period of stagnation. Here is this point in time is roughly when we announced that we would take CrowdNode to the next level, and we engaged with Diff to sell equity stake to them. And you can also clearly see the point in time when the API integration into the Dash mobile wallet was launched, and that gave a significant growth, and it's looking really good. We do expect that Trustless will also have a significant impact, but how much remains to be seen. Taking CrowdNode to the next level, together with Diff as an investor, we've put up our last proposal, last of 4 proposals, and this will take the equity stake from 9 to 12%. We are asking for the same amount that we've been asking for in the past 3 quarters, 15,000 euros. And this, because the rate is so low, it's quite, you could say, painful, because asking for 290 dash feels like asking for a lot in terms of what's available in the DAO, in the treasury. But we hope that we get your support for the proposal so that Diff will get the remaining 3% equity stake. All right, next up, which I'm really looking forward to, is the live demo of Trustless staking. I can't be showing you all of the process, but I can take you through several of the steps. So let me just toggle over here and open my browser. So this is on testnet. It's called test.crowdnode.io. And I've prepared two accounts. Both of them have been funded. So the first account has a bit more than 600, and the other account has a bit more than 400 T-dash sitting in the platform. If we start with this one with 600 dash here. So testnet, the process, like I mentioned before, there's 5 steps for you as a member to become part of a Trustless Masternode, and I'll walk you through the steps now. You can only stake what's already part of your balance on the platform. This is a very important point, because it actually means that trustless staking is not trustless when it's being spun up. It's only trustless after it's been moved to the pay-to-script hash address. We're doing it this way for several reasons. One of them being to give a better UI experience. It would require additional signatures and additional complexity to not have the dash on our platform initially. More importantly, though, it does also safeguard some extreme cases where members with malicious intent can lock up funds for other members. This is being entirely avoided by us managing the funds in the process of setting up the Masternode and moving them to the pay-to-script hash address. So first off, make sure that you have enough dash on the platform. In this case, I have 605 dash, so I'll pledge 600. I can see that someone has already pledged another 200, but that's not enough to form a pool. The second element that you need to decide on, and something that you can't decide on here in testnet because we want a relatively short test cycle, is for how long you want the duration of the trustless pool to be. Your balance, your funds will in essence be locked up for the period with a lock time on the refund signatures, but we do also create additional signatures where you can, with a small penalty, refund anytime. That will terminate the Masternode, and every participant will receive their funds back. And if you are triggering this with your personal refund transaction, the other members of your trustless staking pool will get their even share of the penalty that you are paying, obviously for the hassle here. But right now it's 10 days and you can't select anything else for the testnet cycle here. It's showing success. You have pledged 600 T-dash. Let me just switch profile and pledge 400 on the other one. I will be fast forwarding through some of these elements because it makes no sense to see me doing the exact same thing for both participants in the pool. Now we can see 1200, and I know that one is 600 and the other one is 400. So the platform will be able to match that and show the progress moving to the next level, which would be forming a pool. So let's just fast forward here. The platform now formed a pool, and that means the pledge is locked to the 600 dash. The next step is to provide the pub key for the address that you will be receiving your funds back on. Also, the address that you will be signing refund transactions and messages with throughout the sign-up process or setting up process of a Masternode. I have prepared a dash core, and I'll be using this throughout the demo to show how you do things here. The first step would be to get the pub key from the address. And the address I'm getting a pub key for right now is correlating with the user that's logged in, of course. And the command is get address info, this one. And what you need to do is copy the pub key. into the field here. Save that, and that, let me just scroll down, that is pending backend validation now. So you can also see the pledge progress here. The pool is formed and locked, and you've registered your pub key and it's pending backend validation. Let me just fast forward here and do it for the other user. And I've reverted to my original user. So the step 2, the pub key provided, has now been validated, and it's also showing the correlated address. This should of course be the same address as the one we just basically got the info on. So the get address information for the pub key 030 starts with YLN, and that matches what we're seeing here. The next step, step 3, is to sign a test message. So you click the button, click to sign, and this modal will pop up, allowing you to copy paste the command that needs to go into your Dash core. And you basically paste it in here, and you'll get the signature from that. And you copy paste that back on the platform and request verification. The signature is registered and is pending validation. And while that is happening, let me just go over and fast forward doing it with the other user. I'm back on the first user, and the message is still pending validation. It's not the fastest cycle right now, but let's just give it a minute and fast forward while we're waiting for it. Let me just refresh it here. I can see that the message that we signed has been validated, and also see that the staging address for the pool has already been locked, and the platform is moving funds to the Trustless staging address. This is waiting for funds to build up on the hot wallet. If there's not 1,000 Dash sitting on the hot wallet, that needs to build up before the platform can move it automatically. If the build-up takes too long and we have a Dash sitting in the staging address, we'll obviously meet and move Dash from the staging address. And at some point we might need to take down a normal Masternode to be able to move funds from the ordinary trusted staking to the trustless staking, which is something we're interested in doing. Let me just refresh here. Right, now we can see that the funds have been moved to the staging address. Also, the step where the multi-sig, the pay-to-script hash address needs to be created has been done. And we're waiting for the backend to create the Masternode ProTX register fund transaction. So this will happen anytime. Let me just refresh it here. So we can see that the funding transaction has been created, and we're waiting for other members to sign the refund collateral transactions first. Let me just move over to the other user. And we can see this modal where it says sign the refund transactions. It's a call to action, and there's 3 transactions, even though there's only 2 participants. So the normal end of term transaction is a time lock transaction. This one can only be published after the time lock is over. So in this case on testnet, after 10 days. Then there's 2 additional transactions, and each participant will get his or her own pre-lock time transaction. This is sort of you could call it an emergency refund, a transaction where there's a small penalty, but you would get the funds back immediately. The Masternode will be terminated, and the other participants will then get their fractional part of that fee as a sort of upside for the Masternode that is terminated before end of term. Let me try to sign one of these, or actually all three of them. So click to sign, and we're just as the test message, serving everything for you here. But there's one difference here. You need to actually insert the private key here. Don't do that on the portal, of course, but the private key for this address. And let me just go ahead and copy that over to -core, and I think I can do this here without harming anyone. It's just on testnet, but I will dump the priv key for that address. And after having dumped the priv key, I'll copy paste this part, paste it in here, and then insert the priv key at the correct place here. There we have it. So paste that in, enter. And then you get the output from the sign raw transaction with key. You will see one or two error messages, even though the sign is actually successful. I wrote with pasta and also with Udin proxy pasta, and this is by design. So only when the last signature is in place, everything will be fine, and the complete will toggle to true. And this can potentially be smoothened out in the future when the partially signed Bitcoin transactions are backported to Dash. I suppose they might be called partly signed Dash transaction at that point in time. So it's a few dips that still remains to be backported to Dash. Anyways, what you do here is you copy everything from bracket to bracket. This is also stated here. Copy everything from bracket to bracket, and then request verification. You'll see that the first one is signed and pending validation. You need to do the same for the other ones. There we go. Again, copy everything from bracket to bracket. Request verification. And the last one, click to sign, copy, paste. Let me get the priv key in there. So please notice that we're not asking for the priv key on the platform. So it's very important that you do this yourself and you do it right. Like that. And copy from bracket to bracket. And request verification. So everything looks fine on the first two. They've already been validated and you're all set. The last one is still signed and pending validation. So we'll just fast forward on that. Let me just refresh here, and you can now see that all of the refund transactions are signed, it's valid, and you're all set. And what you're doing right now is waiting for other members to also sign the refund collateral transactions. Let me just go ahead and do that for the other user, and we'll fast forward on that one. And after a refresh, we can see that these are also validated now and all is set. And now it's in progress of doing the last signing, which is actually CrowdNode signing. Let me just refresh again. And what we can see is that all signatures for the refund transactions are received, they're validated, and the final step is then to perform a final validation. And now we have a step 5 up here. So like I mentioned earlier, there's a normal end of turn transaction that is time locked, and there's a pre-time lock, so a emergency refund that comes with a penalty. Each participant will get both transactions that will refund every member of the pool, and as a final check, you need to decode the raw transaction to validate that everything looks as expected. So you can essentially just paste it in. And what you'll see on this one is obviously there's a lock time, roughly 10 days from now. And you can see the two participants, one participated with 600 and another participated with 400, minus some network fees. This transaction can be published at some point after lock time. And then there's the other one, the pre-lock time. This one, let me decode that as well. And what you can see here is that I won't be getting all 600 back if I publish this. There's no lock time, so I can do this immediately, but the other participant will get, you could call it the upside on my penalty, because of the hassle of maybe going through the process of setting up a new trustless masternode. If everything looks fine and well, you click Approve Refund Transaction, and now we're in a state where we're waiting for others to approve as well. Let's just fast forward on that. If we decode this one, we see the opposite. I won't get the 400, all of them back, whereas the other participant will get the upside from me wanting to refund before end of term. I'll approve those as well. And I'll just return to the other user. And now the final validations are in, it's successfully done. And all we're waiting for now is the Masternode to actually prepare. Right now we only have one Masternode in Tesla for trustless staking. We do plan on spinning up 3 more Masternodes in the next couple of days, so more of you can try the trustless staking out. And what I can show you in the meantime is the actual PortX register funds command published. I have that sitting here in the backend, so let me just fetch that and show to you how those transactions will behave on the blockchain, although this is automated completely. Let me just get the raw transaction to fund it and go into dash core. So send raw transaction. So go ahead and do that. Now the funds have been sent to the pay to script hash address. If we go ahead and decode this one, we can see that it's going to our pay to script hash address. We can also see the extra payload regarding that it's a Masternode funding transaction. That's actually also starting the node. Even though there's no node ready right now, we can still publish this transaction. And for the sake of the exercise, let me just go back here, and you can see that if I copy paste the normal end of term, so if we are past the lock time, then I'm able to send this, but right now it's non-final. So the lock time has not been exceeded, so this cannot be published. But if I publish my own emergency refund transaction, just go ahead and do that, send raw, you'll see that this wallet, because that's where I originally sent everything from, would receive the transactions back. Although that I'm not getting all 600, and the other participant is getting the upside. This concludes the demo on how to become a member of a Trustless Masternode pool. In a later video, we'll show the actual automations of a Masternode being funded and also receiving the fractional rewards. That's it for now. Thank you for watching and thank you for supporting us. And we are really looking forward to get your input in order to improve the experience in becoming a Trustless Masternode pool member. The improvements will take a few iterations, but we hope to see this on mainnet as soon as possible. So thank you very much, and take care, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you later.